upgrading the structures. One, use of open or underutilized space, and presidential library. This one is for upgrading a structure.
Hello, I'm Jonathan. On behalf of Chicago Team 6, thank you so much for extending this opportunity to us today. Last fall, we were challenged to take on a project. After much deliberation, our team focused in on the desire to give back to the city of Chicago. The desire was translated to us not only renovating a building, but seeking to renovate a society. To successfully accomplish this, our solution, one, directly acknowledges the effects of historic segregation in Chicago, and two, acknowledges recent ethnic tensions within society. More than that, our solution recognizes humanity's collective deep-seated misunderstandings of one another. Misunderstandings which stem from a lack of knowledge of and interaction with other cultures. Chicago Team 6 needed a central location from which to share our solution. And for that purpose, we chose the old Chicago Main Post Office. Located on the southwest corner of the Loop Business District, the post office is actually on the Chicago axis from the 1909 original Burnham plan. So it's in line with the Buckingham Fountain, as well as having views of Lake Michigan. It's in close proximity to numerous public transit options, including the busing system, the L train system, Metra commuter trains which run beneath the building, water taxis from the nearby Chicago River, as well as Interstate 290 actually runs directly through our building. Through the building, it actually goes right through the base of the structure. So if you see here, right through there. The building is quite large. It actually has 9 floors, and so each floor holds 4 football fields. So it's an immense structure. In 1927, this building entered into its prime time. What that means is that mail order companies like CIRT, Roebuck & Co. and Montgomery Ward, which are headquartered in Chicago, were sending immense numbers of packages through this post office. And so it's really busy. Meaning 125 fully loaded trains and 6,000 trucks were coming to this facility every day, filled with mail, and then leaving with mail. So mail was coming into the facility, and mail was going out of the facility at a rate of 35 million packages and pieces of mail per year. About 7 years later, the Postal Service wanted to switch to an automated system. However, the system was horizontally focused, and so they wanted to deal with mail in that way. Now, that horizontal focus does not jive with the way our building is built. Our building has really tall floors, about 22 feet in height. However, it has really dense column structure because none of the interior walls are load-bearing. Because of that automated system would not work, and we actually had to abandon the building in favor of a new site where that could be included. Since then, our building has been entered into a period of, 1997 was actually the year that they abandoned it, so 20 years ago. So when that abandonment happened, what has happened is it's deteriorated. So it has lead piping and asbestos and mold problems and water and fire damage within the structure. And so all it's really been used for recently has actually been appearing in film franchises like the Transformers and Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight trilogy. So what our team wants to do is take this building out of its dark night and bring it into a period of rebirth. So we're doing that with the Cultural Museum of Chicago. This museum isn't just a place where you go and you look at things, it's static. It's something that's dynamic and engaging. So you're actually experiencing each of the cultures by performing them and actually practicing what they're doing. And so our plan has this becoming a place where people come and visit. And so our diverse users, we have a team actually kind of create some mock users to figure out how they would use the space. And so the purpose of the space is that our diverse users from all around the city, different ages, different interests, can come to this facility, learn about different cultures and different cultural elements, and then bring it out to their own community. And so it's restoring that when mail came in, mail came out, that same idea, knowledge is coming in, knowledge is going out. To do this, we've actually highlighted 4 elements of culture we feel are universal. Those elements are religion, arts, food, and sports. So there's the 4 primary programs within our space. Each of these has a color, so real quick, here's the key. Religion, for example, is yellow. And so on this board over here, the section view is highlighted in yellow, the concept drawings in yellow, and so is our structural concept. So just to aid some understanding. The original purpose in a religious space was that you would go up a ramp, and as you moved up through the space, you'd actually reach a place of enlightenment. And so what that translated to in reality is it created an immense void. So we removed 9 floors, or at least pieces of 9 floors, from this part of the building, creating a place where the oculus at the top, light is streaming into the space. So it creates a cathedral effect. And so to further aid with that, we actually included a ribbed vault system to structurally support this space. Now we moved all those interior columns. And so we took this religious space and we created a sanctuary where people can come and feel peaceful and meditate and do whatever their religion would like them to practice. Yes.
At first, we began, you talked about the racial and those kinds of things. How did that relate to more? I didn't see a cultural or race component.
Oh, you mean to races? Yes. And so the intent of this is that races from all around Chicago. So Chicago has a number of different neighborhoods, each with diverse populations. And so the idea is that we're going to take representative pieces of each of these cultures from those populations and feature it in the museum, whether it be within a permanent collection or at different times that goes through. And so it's a dynamic place where every type of event occurring in it actually is going to be different over time, highlight each of those cultures in Chicago. Yes. So we have the sanctuary space, and around that we have sub-programming. So we actually have classrooms that also support that religious program. And those classrooms are actually shared and integrated into the art section, which sits right next door. And so actually those classrooms, and that same idea of integration runs throughout the entire space. So these programs rely on one another to function at its highest efficiency level. So the original idea behind the art section was that people come and practice, they perform, and they participate. So those are the 3 things that we do. We interact with art. So no matter which order those events occur in, that's how people are experiencing it. And so we wanted to really highlight those elements. And so we did so. One example is our gallery space. So our gallery spaces are where you're participating in art because you're moving through it. And so what you do is as you move throughout every hallway in our building, not just ones limited to this art section, every hallway isn't just a white box with white ceiling. Something where there's color and pattern and texture and different artistic pieces that pull you through the space and really draw you in, teaching you things along the way. The big structural move that we did in the art section was actually creating a black box theater. So we removed about 3 floors and a good horizontal span of support from our structure. So we decided to support it using a compact box truss system. So we have those triangles that are really creating the strength of our box. So if you look here, you can see that where you can expect the triangle to end, it kind of sticks out a little bit further. And so what that actually is it's harkening back to mail flags. So there's flags that we have in our mailboxes. And so we're remembering the original purpose and intent of this building, even as we're renewing it into something that's special and relevant to today. The purpose behind our food section, our original idea, was that it would act as sort of food pyramid, with heavier elements on the bottom, moving up to lighter elements at the top. In practice, that means that we place denser elements, so it's like restaurants and test kitchens, toward the bottom levels. And as we move up toward the top, we actually get into our agroponic systems, where we have vertical farms built into the space. To access those, we have a cylindrical elevator in the middle of the space, as well as a spiraling staircase. So you actually move up the canopies of where the space is, where we actually have a second oculus providing light to those spaces. So that similar element is actually shared throughout other parts of the space, echoing that similar design. Those vertical farms are kind of heavy, and so they're supported by a 3D condom lattice space frame structure. So what that does is instead of creating like a similar pattern as a normal space frame would do, it actually creates different shapes as it tessellates back and forth. And so we get nooks and crannies that people are able to interact with. And so what that means is, let's say I'm alone and I want to go to this museum. So actually, let's say Marissa's alone. So Marissa's one of our users, and she comes to the space and she's by herself. So she's able to go in, and she's able to eat her food in private. But maybe Anna, our grandmother over here, she came with a bunch of her friends, and they want to utilize a larger space. Well, that is also available to them because of how this structure is formulated. So it has a dual purpose. It creates those nooks and crannies, and it supports our vertical farms at the top. Those vertical farms are also supported by our roof. And so our roof actually is collecting rainwater. And so that rainwater is then filtered through a charcoal system, stored in a cistern at the base of this program, and then that rainwater is utilized within the vertical farming system. Within the sports section, flexibility was the key feature that we wanted to highlight. And so there's many different sports, each with different field sizes and dimensions. So we wanted to have as many of those fit as possible, so that people can be interactive with whatever sport they want to interact with. So at the top of our space, we actually have a large field, so it's our football field size, but it can also be converted into cricket fields or soccer fields or rugby fields. And so that field on the top is actually covered by a space frame, and so the space frame is lightweight, but also very strong. And so this protects the users from the variable elements within Chicago. As we move down into space, we have heavier structural elements. So you can see our floor gets really thick as we actually also have some additional columns supporting it because of that weight of all these different features. And so within this space, we have some smaller courts, so basketball courts, squash courts, tennis courts, things of that nature, and more of them than there would be of this field at the top. And then at the base, we actually have swimming pools as well. And so we have a number of different sports highlighted within this space. If you look at this concept over here, so you see our drawing, each of the shapes that make up our spaces, so the arches and the pyramids and the prisms, you can see here. And even though each of them is independent, they're each interrelated and interconnected. So just like I mentioned earlier, every program within this space is relying on one another to function and to bring more interest. So we actually have a mixing zone that runs across the bottom of our space and connects each of the programs together. And so this mixing zone allows you to, as you move through the building, so let's say I enter at the south end of the building and I'm going to the religious section. Well, as I do that and I move through the building, I'm moving through a hallway that's interesting visually, moving through a space where I'm learning things. And so as I move through the space, I may have come with one purpose, but I'm learning things along the way and being able to understand other cultures.
Tell me about your consideration about the energy dimension of the space.
Yes, yes. So the use of energy within our space. So we really wanted to highlight sustainability. So we are utilizing solar panels up on our roof. We're also placing wind turbines. We actually have some towers toward the top, and so we have wind turbines between them. We also are utilizing kinetic energy from high foot traffic areas where the pressure plates create energy as they get pushed, as well as tidal energy from the river that's nearby. And so we're using each of those systems to create as much energy as we possibly can to be green, although because of the size of the building, we will still need to be connected to the grid.
How are you providing sunlight or light directly for your vertical farm?
Yes, and so the vertical farm, again, it's actually that ellipse that is at the top of the space. And so we have a large glass dome or window, so to speak, at the top of our space that light is able to come in through the vertical farm system, in addition to a mirror system that, again, will amplify that light as well. Yes. We really want this building to give to the people of Chicago, and so we're proposing an aggressive 81-week schedule. Our schedule, the cost of the building is $1.25 billion, and that's reflected both because of the schedule, the size, safety concerns, and the interior finishes that we are placing within. So that breaks down to a $500 per square foot cost for the 2.5 million square foot building. We're utilizing a multi-stage construction window for this, and so we're starting at the sports section of the building because that's our critical path, it's our point, it's going to take the longest, and we're moving toward the religious space. And so we're going to begin with our remediation. So this building right now, as I mentioned earlier, has a number of hazardous materials within it, like asbestos and lead piping. And so what we're going to do is we're going to remove those, make it safe, and make it from a brown building to a more green center building. Once we've done that, we're going to add our structural elements in to strengthen the building since we created all these voids. Then we're going to complete our demolition, rough in our plumbing and all that, and then finish out with our interior finishes. A big concern that we have that's also reflected in our safety, in our cost, is safety. So this is a very large building, and so we have a lot of safety concerns for pedestrians that we have to consider, as well as with the road running through the building. We have to make sure that they're safe as well. So that's definitely a concern that we have addressed with our how our plan is coordinated. We utilize the design-build idea as a team throughout this project, and so we approached it not as independent groups, but as groups that were integrated fully together. And so for me, that looked like this. I work primarily on this arts section here. And so I have an interest in architecture, and so I was able to, we had an idea of architecture, and we said, we want to make this a black box theater. We want it to look like this. And so then our engineering people on the team said, you know, we can do that best using a box press system. That's how we can best utilize the space. And then our construction people said, you know, that's how, here's how much that's going to cost. Here's how we're going to do that. Here's our materials. And so we were able to learn more by being all on a similar team and actually be more efficient with our time to create the beautiful space that you see up here. Yes? I said 2.5 million. There actually is a typo on the board. It says 250 million square feet, but it is 2.5 million square feet. Yes. $500. Yeah. Yes. So taking each each of these four primary elements, we combine them into a single location at the heart of Chicago. Harnessing the building's original purpose of mail distribution, where mail comes in and out, we're going to seamlessly transition the old Chicago main post office into a center of knowledge distribution, where knowledge is coming in and out, where people can come to the Cultural Museum of Chicago and experience positive interactions with both familiar and new cultures. Thank you. Yes. Yes. For trucks and such? Yeah, so here's what we're doing with the site. This is true. Yes, so in front of the building, there's actually a road that runs underneath 290, and so we're planning to close that piece of the road for an amount of time to be able to remove a lot of these elements, as well as there's actually some parking lots near the area that we're also going to be utilizing for kind of some trucks and some staging areas, as well as we're really focusing on safety and making sure that as we move throughout the space, each part is safe and secure. And in addition to that, we're going to, with that multi-stage system, we're going to be able to balance each of those different loads, whether it be like removing all the items or adding structure. We're going to be able to balance that due to the large space and the multiple staging options. Yes. Yeah, so our remediation is actually taking up about a quarter of our time at the beginning to make sure that we can clear all those, because there's a lot of damage within the building right now. So to make it safe, it will take a lot of work to not only remove those pipes, but also remove pipes and add in and remove them. So definitely a large portion of our timeline is represented by that.
When the team put that all together, was there any contemplation of when producing activities?
Yeah. Definitely. It is. And so our original intent is to use a public-private partnership to get this up and running. And then we are projecting that the building should be able to be self-supporting. And so the entire building is not just, a lot of it is public access, but we have special events, we have food, we have, like the Performing Arts Centers, different exhibits throughout. We're projecting should be able to cover that cost of running it, and as well as recouping that original investment. Thank you so much.